Most people believe English improves only when they study harder. But the real change does not come from books or exercises alone. English improves when the way you think begins to change. You do not become fluent because of grammar rules. You become fluent because of mental habits repeated every day. Stay until the end of this video and you will understand why your English level is shaped by your thoughts, not your textbooks. If you want calm, realistic English content that changes how you learn, subscribe to this channel now and walk this path with us. This is not fast English. This is deep English. Now let's start slowly and honestly. There is a simple rule that controls human behavior. You become what you think about most of the time. Not what you wish for. Not what you plan for. But what your mind repeats daily. Your brain builds identity through repetition and emotional experience. If you think about fear, you slowly become more cautious. If you think about problems, you become defensive and hesitant. And if you think about failure in English, you become silent. This is not motivation or philosophy. This is how the brain works biologically. The brain believes what it hears most often from itself. For most learners, that inner voice says negative things every day. I am bad at English. I always forget words. I cannot speak correctly. These sentences repeat quietly inside the mind. With repetition, the brain accepts them as reality. Then behavior follows belief without conscious decision. You hesitate before speaking. You avoid conversations. You stay inside your comfort zone. Not because you cannot speak English, but because your mind expects failure in advance. Now here is the uncomfortable truth. Many learners practice English with the wrong mental image. They imagine themselves making mistakes and feeling embarrassed. So before speaking, they mentally rehearse failure. The brain does not clearly separate imagination from experience. If you imagine struggle, your nervous system prepares for struggle. If you imagine flow, your nervous system prepares for flow. That is why mindset is not decoration. It is real training for the brain. Now let us connect this directly to learning English. When you think about English, what appears in your mind first? Grammar rules and exams? Past mistakes and shame? Or communication and connection with people? Whatever appears most often becomes your English identity. And identity controls how you act in real situations. If your identity is, I am a learner, you wait. If your identity is, I am a speaker, you try. Trying reshapes the brain. Waiting keeps the brain frozen. This is why some people improve faster with less study. They think like users, not like students. They do not think about being perfect. They think about being understood. This creates a completely different mental direction. Now let us talk about the real enemy. The real enemy is not vocabulary or grammar. The real enemy is mental noise and fear. When your mind is full of doubt, English has no space. Language needs calm, not pressure. Pressure blocks memory and flexibility. Calm opens access to language. If English feels like a test, your brain enters survival mode. If English feels like a tool, your brain opens naturally. This small shift creates a powerful change. You do not need to think, I will be fluent someday. You need to think, I use English today. One sentence. One idea. One small moment. Identity grows from action, not from dreams. Now here is something very important. You do not need positive thinking. You need neutral thinking. Not, I am amazing at English. But, I am practicing English today. Neutral removes pressure and allows consistency. The brain learns best when it feels safe. If every English moment feels dangerous, the brain avoids it. Avoidance becomes habit. Habit becomes personality. And suddenly you become someone who cannot speak English. Not because you cannot, but because you trained your mind to believe that. Now let us reverse the direction. Instead of thinking about mistakes, think about exposure. Instead of thinking about fear, think about usage. Instead of thinking about perfection, think about continuity. The mind always follows focus. If you focus on silence, you become silent. If you focus on communication, you become communicative. That is why thinking in English is not only language practice. It is identity practice. When you think in English, you tell your brain who you are. Not later. Even simple thoughts count. Short thoughts. Daily thoughts. Easy thoughts. These build a new version of you slowly. You do not wake up fluent. You wake up aligned with your direction. Alignment creates progress. Progress creates confidence. Confidence never comes first. It always comes last. Now let us bring everything together. Ask yourself one honest question. What do I think about when I think about English? Fear and rules? Or meaning and practice? Change that picture, and you change your future English. Not by force. By repetition. You become what you think about most of the time. If English lives in your mind as a problem, it stays a problem. If English lives in your mind as a daily tool, it becomes natural. No drama. No magic. Only direction. Now let us summarize clearly. You do not speak English the way you study it. You speak English the way you think about it. Thought builds identity. Identity builds action. Action builds fluency. That is the chain. If you want to practice English with people who focus on usage, not fear, join our Telegram group using the link in the comments. If this video changed how you see English, like the video. And write one sentence in the comments. What will I think differently about English from today?